You can just begin by calling the meeting to order.
Okay, hang on one second. I will call today's meeting of December 15th to order, the Plan Commission.
Okay, we'll start with calling the roll. Brian, if you could call the roll, please. I think you're muted right now, Brian. We can't hear you.
Hear me now?
Brian, go ahead.
All right. Perry,
Here.
Stengel,
Here.
Marshall,
Here.
Koulibaly, Davy,
Here.
Ford, Roth,
Here.
Keeper,
Here.
Mitchell.
Here.
Seven in attendance.
Okay, next we would need a motion on the minutes from the December 1st meeting.
I'll make a motion to approve December 1st meeting minutes.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Motion approved. We can then move on to item 1.
Mark, I did think I saw Kathy did join, I believe.
There she is. Yep. All right. Welcome, Kathy. So Kathy, just letting you know where we're at, we did call the roll and we did the motion for the minutes already, and we're just about to start item number 1. All right, Brian, go ahead and begin.
Mark, this is Steven. Do we want to did anybody do any site inspections?
Oh, sorry. Yep. Any site inspections? Looks like Mr. Grove. And that is it. We do need the chair, if Kathy, if you can hear us, can you accept the staff report as part of the record? Does not look like Kathy can either hear us or talk. One of the two, I'm not sure. John, why don't you just keep going until we can get Kathy straightened out?
Sure. We accept the staff report as part of the record, and we go on to the staff narrative. So go ahead.
Thank you. So item 1 is a residential design standards variance request to allow a standing seam metal roof with a thickness of 26 gauge and exposed fasteners at 307 West 9th Avenue. Just to show you here the applicable ordinance sections. If you remember correctly, our standing seam ordinance was passed relatively recently in the past couple of years, and these sections apply. So we do have a minimum thickness for standing seam roofing for new standing seam roofs in the city. But then we also prohibit exposed fasteners or designs that employ exposed fasteners. So just keep those sections in mind. And they're in your staff report also. Here's the subject site. It is a non-conforming lot. You can see in the center of the screen there in blue. 307 and 303 are both on the same parcels. There's two primary structures on that lot. And we're talking about the westernmost one. And you can see some of the surrounding land uses around there. There's some single and two-family predominantly immediately surrounding the subject property. And then there's some institutional and then some commercial properties over on Oregon to the east. So just to give you some context there. An aerial here of the subject site. So again, we're dealing with the left or the western of the two structures. This is just a Google Street View of the subject property there. You can see the brick structure towards the left of the road there. That is the subject property, or subject structure, I should say, on the property there. And then this here is looking to the east towards Oregon, just showing some of the surrounding context. So you can see like a mixture of buildings, a lot of them being single or two-family residential structures of varying character, but similar scale. Just showing you both perspective views of the subject property there. So again, that's the one that's in question there. So the applicant actually replaced the previous standing seam roof on the property with a new standing seam product. And you can see some of the images that the applicant provided. We were made aware of this some time back, a few weeks back, and we told the applicant that a design standards variance would be required because this product, as installed, based on the information provided, does not meet our standards. The applicant stated that due to the pandemic, he had difficulty reaching city staff. Originally, it sounds like he applied for a roofing permit for another property, and so he had the wrong address and apparently applied for the wrong property. And when we looked at that property, when inspections and planning staff reviewed the permit, the original permit was for what appeared to be shingle roofing, not standing seam. And of course, obviously not for this parcel here. You can just see here from these images the lower rear portion of the building mass there, where this roof is the most visible, perhaps. And then here, these were some images. So one is from the side from Minnesota Street there, just trying to make sure I have my bearings proper. On the right, so if you can imagine going along the side street and looking at our subject parcel there on the right. And then the other one is obviously along West 9th if you're heading east, as if you're going past the subject property. You can see how the roof is not very visible from West 9th Avenue, but it is a little bit more visible from Minnesota Street there. So when we looked at this, we had concerns with it because though the main portion of the roof is not as visible from West 9th Avenue, the product as installed, at least from what staff could discern, does conflict with at least two sections of the residential design standards, and namely that standing seam ordinance that we passed not long ago. Again, I mentioned that we require a minimum of 24 gauge thickness for the metal. This product is a 26 gauge product, so it is thinner. Your gauge numbers, as they decrease, actually that's a thicker gauge, a greater thickness to the roof. And the other section is the fact that there are exposed fasteners on this roofing. And that was a big ordinance provision that we put in, if you remember, in the standing seam ordinance. We wanted to make sure from an aesthetic standpoint that those fasteners were concealed. So after discussing this with the rest of the planning staff and considering the information provided by the applicant, staff recommends denial at this point of the variance due to the fact that it conflicts with at least two ordinance sections, and the applicant has not provided a manufacturer industry standard explaining why this product is required versus a code compliant option. I do want to note before I conclude that the applicant, the contractor, is here, and we have had contact with him. He did submit in his application, the fact that they weren't clear on the standards, but also the fact that as installed, to remove it and to install a new roofing product would be of great expense to the applicant and the owner. The owner himself actually emailed city staff last week, and I believe Mark did forward that to all of you. And I just wanted to note that he did say that they had to quickly replace the metal roof on this property due to it leaking. And I believe the applicant stated that originally, the contractor stated that in the application. So there were leaks with the original roof. They replaced it with this current product. And they did do a full tear off and replacement. And so there must have been some miscommunication between the owner and the contractor. And then they were informed, of course, of the metal roofing requirements. The owner did say that he takes full responsibility for not getting the approval in place sooner, but he hopes that we can understand where he is coming from. He apologized for not being able to attend the meeting, and therefore we as staff wanted to share his written comments with you. So just so you know, wanted to put that in the record. And with that, at this point, we recommend denial for this variance request based on the finding listed in your staff report and shown on the screen here.
If Kathy's not available, I guess we go on.
I'm here now. Can you hear me?
Yay!
Yes, we
Come on.
can.
Yay, thank you.
All right, Kathy, I'm going to promote you to co-host so you can see people raising their hand.
Okay.
All right, should be good to go. Take it away, Kathy.
I don't see anybody
So this would be
raising their, are there technical questions? Anybody have technical questions?
Looks like Mr. Mitchell.
Okay, Mr. Mitchell, Justin?
Greetings, Justin here. I was hoping that maybe you could just talk through what a denial request specifically looks like if the Plan Commission adds no other provisions on.
So the design standards variance would be denied, and then we would go through issuance of a violation letter and let them know they do need to replace that roof with a code compliant roofing material. Does that answer it, Justin?
Yes, thank you.
John, do you have a technical question?
Yes. Well, I guess it's, again, kind of along the same lines. What options does the homeowner have at this point? As far as, is it going to have to take a complete tear off? Is there a way to hide the fasteners or anything?
I guess I would leave that to the maybe contractor to talk about the way. I mean, obviously they can't fix the thickness. It doesn't meet our standards for thickness. The only way to rectify that would be removal of the roof and put up a new material. In terms of could they do something to the fasteners? It may be very difficult, but I don't know if the contractor has any thoughts on ways they could hide the fasteners. We could ask that during that portion.
Thank you.
Any other technical questions?
Hear me? No.
Then we would be moving on to the applicant for comment. Or the contractor, I believe, is in attendance.
Can't really figure a way how to cover the fasteners. The only way I could really think of anything would be using matching caulk, or I don't know. If you guys have anything in mind, or
Are they already painted the same color?
Yeah, they're already painted. They're galvanized and they're already painted the same color.
Okay.
And then along with the rubber washers.
Sure.
Any other comments from the applicant?
No, not right now.
Okay. Can you hear me?
Yep. Go ahead, Gabby.
Well, I have a question for the contractor about the permit process. Why didn't you not take out a permit?
Well, I tried contacting obviously the city hall. I've never done it online. It's basically my first time. So with that, with the pandemic, I tried calling and I got a reach of somebody. I don't know who. I asked a very simple question: if it was all right, install the A Pro Rib steel, and they said it would be all right. But I guess they never informed me about the gauge, which I should have, looked into. That was my fault, so a mistake that won't happen again. But yeah.
Okay. John, do you have a question? John Kiefer, do you have a question?
May just need to lower his hand from earlier.
Okay. Lower his hand for him.
Sorry,
Well,
I couldn't find the unmute. I do not have a question.
okay, then is there anybody else in the audience that wants to speak on this topic? Is there anyone else in the audience that wants to speak on this?
I do not see any other hands raised.
Okay. The applicant have anything else he wants to say right now?
I don't know if you guys were informed, but along with the roof, there is underlayment, and then it was purlins were fastened down for the steel. But I don't know if that was in there or not.
I believe it was in the staff report.
Okay.
Yep.
Right, perfect.
Was that installed per the manufacturer's instructions?
Yep.
Oh, okay.
Okay, any more questions of the applicant? I guess not. Commission will have a motion to adopt the findings and recommendations as stated in the staff report.
So moved.
Second.
Okay, we have the motion. The way the motion is now to vote yes means that we accept the staff report, which means we
No.
deny the application.
So in this case, we want to make sure we do these denials very specifically. We need a motion to approve the request. And that way a yes means yes, we want to let them do it. And a no means no, we don't want to let them keep the roof. So I would ask that we modify the motion to recommend approval of the variance request. And then that way, when we get on a voting, yes means approval of the variance, no means denial of the variance. It's just a little cleaner for record keeping and us being able to track the votes.
Okay, but we're already, we've already,
Yeah, I would ask that whoever made the motion, please, if you would be willing to amend it to add that.
Yes, you can amend the motion to, how do you want me to say that exactly?
So the motion would be for approval of the variance.
I make a motion to approve the variance
And then if whoever seconded is okay with that?
I think I seconded. There will be a time for discussion immediately before the vote, right?
Most
Oh,
definitely.
yes.
Okay. Yes, I will change my second.
Okay. Then now we can do discussion, and it looks like Margie does have her hand raised.
Margie does. She finally figured out how to do that on here. I don't know that it's fair to the tenant to, my concern is timeline. I think that this has to be denied as or accepted as a whatever. I'm totally confused on. I don't think they should get to keep this roof because it's non-compliant, but I don't think it's fair to the tenant to say rip it off right now just as we're starting to have winter. So I guess I'm asking how we could put a timeline on this so that they would have, say, till the middle of July or something to get the roof replaced so that it would be compliant, but so the tenant who had nothing to do with any of this, I assume, would not be suffering during the cold weather.
Yeah, so we can't condition a denial, but we can take the request of the Plan Commission to the inspections division who handles the permit enforcement along with us, and just relay that after discussion with the applicant and the Plan Commission, we would like to give the applicant time to address it in the spring and don't want to be, having them try to tear the roof off in the middle of winter. Mr. Zarate and his folks will be more than happy to work with the time frame that Plan Commission recommends, I'm sure.
Okay, thank you, Mark.
Okay, Justin, you have a comment?
Greetings, Justin here. My thought is that there's additional information that could be valuable in making a decision before, we impose such a kind of costly and unsustainable condition. And I understand it's key to follow the rules. The gauge we've used the word thickness a lot, and the thickness of a 24 gauge steel roof has a range, as does a 26. And so I think something that would be valuable is what was the actual thickness that you were hoping for, and really how close is this? If there's a coating on it that makes it a little bit thicker, we might be talking 4 pieces of paper thickness difference, and I would want to know that before we impose something to that degree. And then I know that the basis in the document provided was related to wind. And one of the items it said is we want to make sure that it's going to succeed well in a windy condition. And I do think there could potentially be a way to compromise in having the homeowner have, some sort of structural engineer or somebody, at his expense, do an assessment, and very well could be this is going to survive all weather conditions that we throw at them. And so those are just 2 considerations that I think lead to the idea of tabling this and having it come back, February or around that time. Take a temporary halt from probably the fines that they're getting sent on a regular basis, and really get the information that's, I think, important before we move forward. It's not saying that it's okay to violate the rules, but to make sure that we have the information that we're looking for.
And can you give us ideas specifically what information you're looking for? I know when this ordinance was put into effect, not quite 2 years ago, there was a lot of research and discussion that took place at that time. That's kind of when we settled on the original thickness requirement based on kind of the industry standards and what we could find for ordinances. So I just want to make sure if we table it, we give the applicant very clear direction on what you're looking for.
Right. So I looked through the guide, and I didn't see an actual thickness. And I know you're using the word gauge, but that's more of a classification, and there's a range of thicknesses within that, and it can vary depending upon if they say they have a weather resistant coating on it. or a corrosion resistant coating. And if the basis was that we want to have it a particular thickness, maybe to withstand snow or be heavy enough for rain or noise, it may already be there, but we don't have that information. So that's one item. And then the other item, just going on the report that was provided, was that it indicated a concern for wind. And that was the basis for the heavier material. And, maybe this is completely able to address that. The current setting is fine, but we don't know that without having maybe a structural engineer or somebody that's qualified to give a neutral opinion to take a look at it.
Okay, so you're thinking have the applicant provide some information from a structural engineer on wind loading for our area. In terms of the I guess gauge versus thickness, when reviewing these types of ordinances, almost all of them are based on a gauge requirement of metal. So I guess if the applicant can provide some sort of information that their roofing material acts similar to what a 24 gauge, that is something Plan Commission, is that what you're looking for?
Yeah, or if there's the enhancements on the particular roofing product that makes it to the desired thickness. I just don't know what the thickness that they have it is. What is the measurement? What are the specs that of the material that they utilized? You had indicated you didn't get that information, and I think that would be relevant.
Okay, so I guess the contractor to kind of hear what Mr. Mitchell is kind of thinking. Now we got to see where the vote goes, but I just want to make sure from the applicant side of it, they understand exactly what you're looking for. Just to make sure we have a very clear picture for the applicant.
I don't understand the question here. You talk about the wind withstand that the sheet's gonna withstand the wind.
Yep. So one of the concerns is that with not meeting the material requirements of the ordinance is wind loading, and if you'd be able to consult a structural engineer to determine if the material that was put up does meet local wind loading requirements.
I mean, you got what was it, 4 rows of screws, each 24 inches. So I mean, that steel is very fastened on there. It won't go anywhere. But yeah.
I guess we'll see if there's other comments. Looks like Mr. Kiefer and Mr. Perry also have comments.
Can you hear me? I thought Tom was first.
John had his hand up first.
Okay. Well,
This is John, I'm here.
Okay.
Here.
Sure, go ahead, John.
Okay, yeah, I too am tired of having to deal with these variances because of the lack of getting the permits, which we would hope would solve these issues. But given that's where we are right now, I guess I'm a little hesitant to vote that this should be, the variance should be denied, because what is the significance of the difference between a 24 and 26 gauge? I think that's kind of what we were just talking about. Maybe that's what we need to know is there from an engineering standpoint, a significant difference between the two? I think the other things we dealt with when we put this ordinance in was color, and I don't think we have any issues with that. With the fasteners, is it just the appearance that we're worried about? Or are we worried about fasteners rusting? I know in this case they were what was it, stainless steel or whatever it was that they're made out of, and they were painted the same color as the roof. And I guess I have a little bit hard time with the fasteners just because really the only part of the roof that's that you can see is that back garage part, and that's only visible from the side street, not from the front. So just a few concerns along those lines, and just like maybe a little bit more clarification as to how far is this product away from what we want roofs to have.
Tom, do you have a comment now?
Certainly. In difference to my fellow board members, I'm not looking at this issue as simply a gauge or a fastener issue. This issue is actually three issues, not just gauge, not just fastener, but the main issue is no permit was received for this job, and it was not received by a contractor that should have known better. I, quite frankly, am not concerned about the tenants, as the roof would not be ripped off and then waiting 3 months for a new roof to come on. It would all be done as part of the same job, so I'm not concerned about that part either. To me, this is just simply an issue of a permit was not achieved. It is not an issue of fasteners or gauge. If a permit was achieved, then these things would have been known and the correct situation would have been put up there. This is a builder who should have known better, and this is something that we have to take a stand on. I'll be voting not to approve this.
Any other comments? John, do you have another question, or just hand still up from before?
Oh, sorry, I forgot to take it off.
All right, Kathy, I do not see any other hands raised. You're muted yet, Kathy.
The motion is to approve the variance request. So if you wish to vote no, if you wish not to approve it, then you vote no. And if you wish to approve it, you vote yes, correct?
Correct. Yes vote means you wish to approve the variance as requested. No vote means you would be voting to deny the variance.
Okay, then let's question from Justin.
Justin here. Just really quick, is there a way to do a vote on or an amendment on the extension, and then if that doesn't pass, then do the final vote? I think
so. It would first be up to the person that made the motion that is on the floor along with the second. If they want to amend it to try the tabling it for more information, they could alter their motion to that. Otherwise, we got to take the motion on the floor. If it would fail, then a second motion could be made.
We don't have to do that, Mark. Justin, if he wants to make an amendment, can do that, and we'll take that first.
Okay. Yeah, I apologize that I don't have the specific language for this, but I think it's worth consideration of giving additional time for additional information. So I guess the amendment would be to push this back maybe 6 weeks or 8 weeks, and request information regarding the actual thickness as well as on the integrity of the installation by a qualified professional structural or civil engineer.
So basically, you're moving to lay it over.
And then that is the request that the petitioner provide that information.
You're right. At their cost.
But the motion is, for all practical purposes, to lay it over. Is there a second to that motion, the amendment? Is there a second to the amendment to lay it over? I don't hear one. I don't see one. I guess it dies for lack of a second. So we're back to the original motion to approve the variance request.
Are we ready for a vote, or is there any more discussion?
I'm not seeing discussion. I guess we're ready for a vote.
Okay, go ahead, Brian. Now remember, yes means approve the variance, no means deny the variance.
All right. Perry,
No.
Stengel,
No.
Marshall,
No.
Margie,
No.
Groth,
No.
Kiefer,
No.
Kiefer,
No.
Mitchell,
Yes.
Prop.
No.
Denied 7-1.
Okay, we'll go on to item 2, which is a public hearing, conditional use permit for an adaptive reuse at 1332 Monroe Street. Were there any site inspections? I had one. Any site inspections? Another one. There were a few. The chair will accept the staff report as part of the record. Go ahead, staff, on summary.
Thank you. So the site is located at the southeast corner of East Custer Avenue and Monroe Street. The surrounding area is predominantly single-family residential land uses. So the site currently has an existing building and associated parking area. It was most recently used as a CBRF, which is operated by Winnebago County. So the applicant, which is AdvoCap, is now requesting an adaptive reuse of the site to convert the existing 12-bed CBRF to 8 one-bedroom affordable rental units for single persons. These units would be about 356 square feet in area, include a single bed, nightstand, dresser, full bath, living room, kitchen, with 2 burners, microwave, and refrigerator. So again, they're proposing to convert it from a 12-bed CBRF to 8 single-tenant multifamily units. They're not proposing any substantial modifications to the site. So again, here's the view of the subject site. It does have parking for 10 stalls. And according to the applicant, that will be sufficient as there will be a maximum of 8 residents. So 10 parking stalls will be able to park all of the tenants. And here's a view from the street of the existing building. So staff is supportive of the CUP for the adaptive reuse of the conversion to 8 single-bedroom apartment units, as it will not have a detrimental impact on the surrounding area, and it will not result in increased traffic to the site as it has sufficient parking currently. Additionally, these affordable rental units will serve to provide a housing type that is currently lacking within the city. And staff recommends approval of the proposed conditional use permit for an adaptive reuse with the findings listed in your staff report.
Thank you. Are there technical questions?
Looks like Mr. Perry.
Tom, go ahead. Go ahead, Tom.
So just to get this straight, this is eliminating the CBRF and instead making it a non-CBRF use and having it being individual rentals?
Correct.
Okay.
Correct. Yeah, it'd be an AdvoCap run, rental property that instead. I know the applicant is here if they want to talk a little bit about how they're doing their low-income rent structure or anything. But yeah, instead of a CBRF, it'd be another facility operated by AdvoCap.
Right. I'm just asking because there should be nothing that needs to be done if you go from a 12 to an 8-bed CBRF, but because it's not being a CBRF anymore, that's why it's in front of us, correct?
Correct. It's essentially going from a CBRF to just multifamily residential.
Okay. Any other technical questions? Is that someone that had a technical question? I don't see one. So I'll open the public hearing and request a statement from the applicant. The applicant is there. Mark is the applicant.
I thought we had the applicant in the meeting. Now I'm scrolling back and looking. I guess the only people I see in the meeting are Jim and Barb Kleplin. I don't know if they're here for this item for the public or as the applicant.
The applicant would be Lou Shear. So
Yeah, I don't see Lou. It looks like the applicant is
Barb and
maybe.
Jim are here.
Okay,
Can you hear us?
Yeah, are you here for this item, sir?
Yes,
As a neighbor or as the applicant?
as a neighbor.
Okay, we'll get to you in just a second then. Thank you.
Okay.
okay, so evidently the applicant is not,
Yeah, so it looks like the applicant is not here. This is an item that staff had a number of discussion with AdvoCap on as they try to find more affordable housing solutions in the city. We met a number of times with them trying to figure out the best way to help them achieve this. It's a site that became available for them to purchase and further some of their goals in the city. The adaptive reuse is the method to achieve it, as it's a building that's kind of already set up for these individual unit type uses, even though it is not consistent with the zoning district. That's why we have adaptive reuse in the code. Excuse me.
okay.
So I guess that's that kind of thing we can open up to the public.
Then I'll open the hearing to additional public comment, which would be the Kleppens if they wish to speak. Would the neighbors like to speak now on this topic?
Yeah, I guess we had a couple of questions. One was, okay, the parking would be basically then behind the unit where it is now. I looking at it from the overview that we see. We live on the north side across the street on Custer, and I guess one of our concerns was the parking on the streets. So basically that would be, my understanding would be basically visitors would be parking on the streets then, if they have visitors coming to the apartments.
Correct. They have two overflow spots for visitors on site. And then
Okay.
anything over those two would be street parking as for typical residential use.
Okay. The other question I thought of as we're talking now this would be, by AdvoCap, and from what it sounds like, it would be similar to like the court tower type of apartment or main view type of apartment for that type of person. Am I understanding this right?
No, this is intended for, and I'm trying to pull up their application so I can quote this correctly. Jump in if you already have it up, Brian. I thought this was intended for it'd be one bedroom, so it'd be single occupant units. So it wouldn't be any families or anything like that.
No, that's kind of what though is court tower or main view are kind of, but yeah, single tenants. My one question comes up now, if AdvoCap has this for a period of time and decides that this doesn't work out for them, would this go to just a general apartment rental in the neighborhood? Or
No,
would that have to go through the committee again?
It
Or how
would
does that
have to
work?
go through a approval process to change from AdvoCap to, if they wanted to go full-fledged typical multifamily, it would have to go back through this process. Adaptive reuses are for a specific use only.
Okay. Is there a tentative start date on this that is known or projected?
believe in this coming year from conversations with the applicant.
And a conversation with applicant, there's no remodeling or anything that they're intending to take place on a large scale here. So if approved, they would look to begin rental in short order.
Okay.
Okay. Any other
Okay.
questions?
I think that's everything we were thinking of.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Is there anyone else that wants to speak? Anybody else from the public that wants to speak? I don't see any other public.
Yeah, I think that was the only other individuals we had from the public today.
Okay, and we don't have the applicants still. So I will close the public hearing and bring it back to the commission for a motion.
My motion to approve the recommendations.
And
Second.
as stated in the staff report.
As
Okay.
stated in the staff report.
Okay, motion and a second. Discussion, commission?
Looks like Justin, do you have questions as well
Justin?
or comments?
And Justin here. Thank you. I appreciate the neighbors for joining in and offering some questions. I am curious just about the staffing, if this is a facility where they're going to have on-site staffing and even on-staff overnight staffing. Just for information purposes, I'd be curious on that. I'm excited of Advocap's use of the facility. It's a valuable facility in the community, in the neighborhood, to be able to provide the types of service that Advocap is going to provide. And it's good to have that unit, that building occupied, and I guess helping improve our housing continuum.
Margie? Margie, is your hand raised?
Yes, it is. I just had trouble with that mute button again. I just wanted to, I guess, second what Justin said. I'm thrilled that this building will be reused, and it, having spent time on the Rental Housing Authority Board, Rental Housing Advisory Board, I'm very happy to see that there will be another 8 units for singles available, because that's such an important piece that's missing from our residential structure in Oshkosh. So kudos to them for doing this.
Yes, this is Kathy. I would agree. And I would suspect that this type of rental is not, people may not have cars. They may not have money to own a car. So I doubt there'd be as much parking, one per spot, one per unit, as we think there might be. Any other comments or questions? Don't see any. Then we'll call the roll.
Perry,
Aye.
Stengel,
Aye.
Marshall,
Aye.
Davy,
I
Roth,
Aye.
Kiefer,
Aye.
Mitchell.
Aye.
Prop
Aye.
carries 8-0.
Is there any other business, Mark?
No other business. Next meeting is January 5th. You should already have a meeting invite for that. And last thing I'd say is happy holidays for everyone. We will see you in the new year.
Okay, a motion to adjourn is in order.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
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 Aye. Okay, motion carries. Happy holidays, everyone.
Happy holidays.
Thank you, everyone.
Thanks.
Bye.
Bye.